Thank you, Julie, for letting me know that I was still muted. I've been doing that a lot lately. This is why I need people on to remind me to uh, unmute myself. This is why I also need I need a producer. I need a technical director to help run this. So thank you, Julie. Hi, Julie. It's great to see you tonight online. Thanks for joining us. I'm glad that you caught that fairly early in the broadcast of the mutedness. So glad you're on tonight. Um, thanks. Thanks. I'm glad it's good. So um, we are on day 27 of 30 Days of Hope from the Stevens home. And our goal was to, for the month of April, have a evening conversation, have an evening moment where we're able to spread our hope and hopefully spread what we're doing at our home, and hopefully that inspires, encourages, and equips you in your life and with those around you, coworkers, family, etc. We are winding down those 30 days. Just 3 more episodes after tonight on those 30 days of hope. But I hope you've been encouraged by this time and by the conversations we've had. Tonight, I want to talk to you briefly about get rich quick schemes. Yeah, I tonight I want to talk to you about Amway. No, I'm just kidding. I remember when I was a college student, I was poor and I didn't have much money, and I was working at a retail job and trying to provide for myself, pay for my car and gas and food, and still go to school. I remember being approached one evening while I was working at the counter of my retail store that I was working at. And this gentleman asked me, he said, "Hey, would you be interested in being financially independent?" Of course. What was I going to say? Yes, of course I want to be better financially secure, more financially independent. My minimum wage or near minimum wage paying job at this retail store was not getting me the places where I wanted to be. And so he invited me. He said, "What do you do?" He asked me about it. I went to college, and he said, "Well, why don't you and your roommate join me for dinner, and I'll talk to you about how you can become financially independent." And yes, over dinner that I had to pay for myself. It was a Dutch dinner. Over dinner, I discovered my first, or I had my first encounter with a multi-level marketing program, where an upline tries to recruit a downline that and sells you on the product, that you use this amazing product for yourself, and so you're kind of your own support. Why pay somebody else? Might as well pay yourself, because you're using this product and material, and then you can go and recruit other downlines, and the more downlines you recruit, the more your pay incentives increase, and the more excitement that builds, and you become financially independent. Well, I had some wise people in my life that I talked to, and they told me this was not a wise thing to do. So I declined the offer, and I'm glad I did. Are there people who have made it big on multi-level marketing or network marketing programs? Absolutely, there. I know a few of them, but there has to be a lot of time and energy and effort. And there's a lot of people that seem to me many times to get wounded along the way, in order to build those empires and to build that financial independence. So if you're a network marketer and it's something that you are good at and you want to do, keep doing it. I'm not here to say don't do it, but I'm here to say that my experiences have not been positive in those areas. However, our desire to get rich quick, or our desire to experience financial independence, or to experience joy or life, we want to take the what I call the microwave approach sometimes. We want to find that path. We want that self-help book or that self-help program, that so-and-so is selling, whether it's real estate flipping or remodeling or coins or gold, buying and selling gold or stocks or whatever it is. We like that program wrapped up for us so that if we do it, then we have a chance at hope and happiness. Well, let me tell you that the smartest man who ever lived wrote about this. His name is Solomon. And he wrote in the book of Proverbs about what it means to find life and to live that life. And here's what he says in Proverbs, in the book of Proverbs, chapter 21, in the 21st verse. He says this: "Whoever pursues righteousness and kindness will find life, righteousness, and honor." Let me just read that to you again. "Whoever pursues righteousness and kindness will find life, righteousness, and honor." So he's talking about two things here. One, you have to pursue a moral righteousness, so a righteousness that's within, living right, being right from a moral perspective. You pursue righteousness, but then he says, and pursue kindness. That's acting right. That's being right to others. That's generous and compassionate, and that's what kindness wraps up: being generous and compassionate to those around you. And then he goes on to say that if you pursue those two things, righteousness and kindness, then you will have life. What I love is when science backs up Scripture. Let me explain that to you in regards to this verse. There's an article from Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, and staff doctors have discovered and been researching that when we are kind, it actually influences and causes us to live better. Chemicals are produced in our body that gives us a better quality of life when we act in a kind way. Particularly, they measured random acts of kindness, and they noticed that oxytocin levels increased when someone did a random act of kindness. They also noticed that dopamine levels increased. That's the feeling of euphoria. Oxytocin is the feeling of love and attachment and just overall general feeling of general welfare. And so between those two, oxytocin and dopamine increases when acts of kindness are made, when they happen. Doctors have researched that and are continuing their research. This is a recent article, 2019, where this research has been happening, that acts of kindness actually influence our quality of life. They influence how we live life. They influence how we experience our own life. That overall, they're finding that people who perform acts of kindness, who are kind to others, themselves, feel better about themselves. And so let me encourage you with this. Science backs up Scripture. So many times we find where these things are happening. And let me encourage you with this. Take some moments and find those ways to be kind. Do you want to experience life? I do. I want my level of life, my quality of life to increase. I walk out. I was watching I think it was a TED Talk on the influence of jobs and unhappiness, and how when you're in stressful jobs, cortisol, another body chemical that is part of the fight and flight process in our body, when you're in a stressful job or in a stressful situation, cortisol just constantly drips in your body, and so you're constantly tense, you're constantly paranoid, you're constantly nervous because you have that fight or flight going on almost all the time. Your body, according to this conversation that was happening, your body was not designed for that. Cortisol, fight or flight, is only in momentary highs when there is extreme chance that something bad is going to happen. And then it's supposed to be released, and you're supposed to live in this state of calm and not in that state of stress. And if that's true, I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but based on this conversation, so if that's true, then I want to, instead of living in a high cortisol environment, I want to live in a high oxytocin and dopamine environment. Self-induced, not taking it, but I want to live in a place like that. And according to medical research, we can actually affect the chemical output and the chemical happenings in our body by being kind. What Solomon wrote several thousand years ago, we're finding is true medically. Pursue righteousness and kindness, and you'll experience life, righteousness, and honor. And then let me encourage you with that. This article finishes out to say from Cedars-Sinai that this is not just a one random act of kindness a day, because the oxytocin that comes from that random act of kindness typically lasts about 3 to 4 minutes. So the doctors at Cedars-Sinai recommend a lifestyle of kindness, a lifestyle of being kind. And so as we finish up 20 the 30 days of hope, we finish up day 27 here. And we finish up, hopefully, Indiana's stay-at-home order, and we get back to a slow rollout of normalcy. Hopefully, we can continue to walk those random acts of kindness, or those lifestyles of kindness. So here's what I want to read to you. This is from a friend of mine, Pam Kinnear. She posted this. She took it from someone else, but I think it's so important for us to remember as we close out perhaps the stay-at-home orders and the COVID-19 crisis as we've seen it and as we know it. Here are some things for thought in order to live a lifestyle of kindness. So here we go. Some people don't agree with the state's opening. That's okay. Be kind anyway. Some people are still planning to stay home. That's okay. Be kind anyway. Some will worship in their church building, while others will worship in a drive-in service or online. That's okay. Be kind anyway. Some are still scared of getting the virus and the second wave happening. That's okay. Be kind anyway. Some are sighing with relief to go back to work, knowing they may not lose their business or their homes. That's okay. Be kind anyway. Some are thankful they can finally have a surgery that they've had to put off. That's okay. Be kind anyway. Some will be able to attend interviews after weeks without a job. That's okay. Be kind anyway. Some people will rush out to get their hair or nails done. I'm waiting for the barbershop to open. That's okay. Be kind anyway. The point is, everyone has different viewpoints and feelings, and that's okay. Be kind anyway. We each have a different story. If you want to stay home, stay home. Be kind anyway. If you want to go out, go out. Respect others when you're in public, and be kind anyway. Don't judge fellow humans because you're not in their story. We are all in different mental states, emotional states, etc., than we were months ago. Be kind anyway. Let us all remember this. Walk in love. One of the greatest commandments given by Christ is love one another. be kind anyway. So let me encourage you. Do you want to have a higher quality of life? Be kind anyway. Thanks for joining us tonight. I look forward to seeing you over the next 3 episodes of this as we close out 30 Days of Hope. Hope from the Stevens home. Have a good evening. Bye.